What's up, everybody? Dan Tortora here of Wake Up Call, and we are doing a very special broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we are coming to you a little bit after 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast and on the West Coast at 2 p.m., a little bit after 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So, for those of you on the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest, and all time zones around the world, welcome to this very special edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life.
Five on the Jets to win more than 9.5 games. So there is no doubt in my mind this team will win double-digit games. And if they do, then so be it.
And what I like is that they don't play the Jaguars this season, so I can watch from afar and see what they look like and go from there. But yeah, this is a team, again, for those of you just tuning in, this is a Jets team that has spent the last couple years drafting incredibly smart, bringing in a ton of talent on offense and defense, and then making a few other moves in other areas. I love the way they drafted. They had the best draft of 32 NFL franchises last year. Apparently, I'm linked to all shades of green because being a Jaguar and being teal, I accurately predicted the first 4 picks by the Jets last year. So Jermaine Johnson the second, and Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson, and looking at, and Sauce Gardner, I predicted all those guys. So here we are looking at.
So who's your prediction for this year? Who's your prediction for Thursday?
My prediction for the Jets now, I think the Jets are going to take an offensive lineman. We ran through it. I think so my feet to the fire offensive line for 2023, I'm pulling up the list right now so I can look at it. So I would say, because they're going to be picking 15th now.
I was hearing, like, when I was seeing mock drafts, I still think the Packers might take a lineman too. So that could put a little bit of a damper in things.
So I would say if you're going to come down to 15, maybe Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma or DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. You could take Darnell Wright out of Tennessee as well. But I would probably say if you're going to be picking 15th overall, I wouldn't be surprised with Anton Harrison. But if you go interior, you could get Osiris Torrance from Florida.
Good idea. I actually just saw an NFL.com mock draft that has literally been updated right now. Mm-hmm. So just looking at this, they have it updated to the Jets picking 15th.
Yeah.
So this one has the Jets getting Roderick Jones at 15.
And that's the guy I would have said, but I don't know.
Miles Murphy at 13.
So here's the thing. I would have said that, but I don't know if Broderick's going to – it depends on who goes where with that. If he's available there, you take him.
It also has Peter Skoronski going 14th to the Patriots.
Right. Here, this is how I look at it. I made that pick to you just now based on if Broderick is already taken. If Broderick is not taken, then I would have that happening. Then I would put him. Let me look here. So, yeah, if Broderick's not taken, then obviously at 15, you would go ahead and draft him there. But as of right now, that's my only caveat to this whole thing is the fact that I think he could be gone. If he's not gone, then you draft him at 15. But yeah, I mean that would be a steal. And then all of a sudden, you get Broderick, you have Aaron, you have Breece, you have Michael Carter, you have Garrett Wilson, you have a couple tight ends that are serviceable, and you have Alan Lazard, who he loved from coming to the Jets, and by the way, or coming to the Packers. And by the way, when he went to the Packers, he came off a practice squad of a team known as the Jacksonville Jaguars, who didn't know what they had back in the day. So shout out to Alan Lazard, who wears my grandfather's lucky number 13. Much love to Lazard. Would have loved to seen him in teal longer and actually see him play. But yeah, I mean, if Broderick is still available, that's who you draft. If he's not available, then I look at Anton going to your team. And Peter Skoronski, him too, I had him coming off the board already. So
so the draft simulator has been updated.
Okay.
So
it has
let's
been?
See.
All right.
It has been updated. So let's take a look. Who's going to be on the board at 15? According to this, Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones are still on the board at 15.
Okay, so at 15, it has been updated. Let's enter the draft. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to see if I get the same thing you get. So mock drafting it right now, that would leave me with.
That would mean Paris Johnson without a doubt.
See, this one leaves me with Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright, and Anton Harrison.
Okay, so it has Paris Johnson going earlier.
Yeah, it's got Paris Johnson going to Green Bay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
This one also has Anthony Richardson going to the Falcons. And see,
and that's
Stroud going number 7 to the Raiders.
There's no way that's going to happen. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
It has the Colts taking a corner.
Well, no, I guess it does make sense because if Jimmy doesn't stay healthy, they don't have anybody else. So C.J. Stroud could play 7 or 8 weeks into the season. That does make sense.
Well, yeah, but,
so
I will have to move up to get somebody then. They're going to have to
move
up.
I just put the Jaguars on the clock just for giggles here, and they have you taking a defensive lineman in this one, and that leaves my Jaguars with Deontay Banks, Jordan Addison, Anton Harrison still available.
Here we go.
Matt Bergeron.
So I just clicked on Paris Johnson. Remember we talked earlier about the guy that I think could be great in the second round, the center? Well, Michael Schmitz is still on the board. So
they got the Patriots taking Anthony Richardson in this one. Okay. What'd you say?
Oh, that makes no sense.
No.
But in this mock draft simulator, we got Paris Johnson and John Michael Schmitz. You can't do much better than that.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, if they get those two guys, or insert tackle here and insert center here, they're going to come out of this draft thrilled. Now, the thing we did not talk about this morning, and the thing that we have not talked about yet, what do they do in the middle rounds? What do they do on day 3? Do they pick a quarterback? And I think they should.
Well,
you got to
here's the thing.
Look at the bottom of the draft. So you got to see who's on the board when you're getting into the dog rounds here, as you get into rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as we look down the board here, I mean, Stetson Bennett is projected as like a 5th or 6th round pick right now. He's a guy I'm all in for. And and if he stinks, he stinks. You took him with a 5th round pick. Who cares? So, I mean, looking at him, who's the kid from? Is there somebody from Max Duggan? They have him as undrafted. Wow, that's surprising.
Here's my so you guys don't have a ton of picks in this draft. You have 5. So you're going to you got the 15th overall in the first round. You got 43rd in the second. And that's the other thing too. Think about this too. Think about what you did in this trade, because we talked about how this trade just fits the Jets perfectly. You had back-to-back picks in the second round. You had 42 and 43. So you give up 42, you still have 43. You give up 13, you have 15. So the Jets have virtually not moved in the first or second round, did not give up picks in the first or second round, and still get Aaron Rodgers. What?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I know. And they took their 6th round pick and made it a 5th round pick.
Yeah. So they have they got number 112, which is in the 4th, 143 in the 5th, number 170, which is in the 5th. So you got a first round, a second round, a 4th, and 2 5ths. That's a good draft to me. And like I said, you already got a bunch of young talent. Here's the question. Speaking of young talent, what do you do with Zach Wilson?
He's going to sit, and according to what they said a couple of weeks ago, he's going to be the backup quarterback. So, we'll see. But remember, Zach Wilson's going to give whoever the new starter is going to be, give him hell. Yeah. Give some hell to your buddy Aaron Rodgers, who you are absolutely in no way starting over. Now, unlike some Jets fans, I think this could be good for Zach Wilson because, A, he's going to sit for at least a year, hopefully 2. So obviously you decline his fifth-year option. Maybe try and bring him back cheap after Rodgers is gone if he plays for 2 years. You take a look at him. Unless the guy you draft you end up really liking. So if we're looking round 4, round 5, the quarterbacks that are going to be on the board, you got Jake Haener from Fresno State, you got Clayton Tune from Houston, Stetson Bennett, who we all know is from Georgia and two-time national champion, and Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. I think Stetson Bennett's the best of that bunch, and I don't think it's remotely close. Guy knows how to win, and you're going to be putting him on a team with a lot of weapons. Because even if he takes over in 2 years after Rodgers is gone, he'll be 27, but he's on a rookie deal. And he will have sat behind arguably the most talented quarterback to ever play the position for 2 years. Let's just hope Tom Brady experience that the Jets are doing with Aaron Rodgers, because there's a good chance it could happen. Because when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, they had a lot of great pieces on that team. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they had a good offensive line, they had a very good defense. So you put out there a very good football team, and all you had to do was insert Tom Brady, and they won a Super Bowl. The Jets had a top 5 defense, an offense who, minus their quarterback, was electric last year. Part of the offensive line. You put in Aaron Rodgers on this team, you assume they are going to pick a center and a tackle. At least a tackle, possibly a center. They did just re-sign Connor McGovern today, so that might rule out John Michael Schmitz in round 2. Excuse me. They might rule out John Michael Schmitz in round 2, but we'll see. And even if that does mean that, go get a receiver. Go get a safety. Go get another corner. Well, you don't really need another corner, but go get an edge rusher, a linebacker. Improve the team another way. Improve your defense. You know what they say with sometimes your best option, rather than filling your biggest need, is to make the rich get richer, make your defense better. And if you go out there and you have a top 5 defense, you know what happened the last time Aaron Rodgers had a top 5 defense? The Super Bowl.
Well, here's the thing: having Aaron Rodgers with Sauce and Jermaine Johnson and CJ and all that breeds some excitement, some positivity. The Jets are exciting to me with the guys they brought on without Aaron Rodgers. So now they become more exciting. Now he's under contract through 2026-27 season if he wants to be.
He will not play out that contract.
Now he can be an unrestricted free agent in 2025. So looking at this right now, in 2023, he is due to hit the cap for $15.79 million. In 2024-25, his cap hit for the Jets, if they assume it all, his cap hit for the Jets is $32.54 million.
Not bad.
In 2025-26, the cap hit is over $51 million, and in 2026-27, it would be over $45 million of a cap hit. Now, if he plays out 2 years for this team, his cap hit cumulatively would be under $50 million. So if he can vie for and attempt to win a Super Bowl in his first 2 years, the cap hit for the next 2 seasons as a Jet would be less than just 2025 alone.
Yeah, and it would be. And
it'd be under $50 million, and in 2025 it's 51 by itself.
Because the way it goes at this point, damn well you're going to have some cap issues when he retires, because he's not going to play out the entire contract. Now, I think if the Jets were, let's just say the Jets were to go win back-to-back Super Bowls, which I'm not saying is going to happen. It's very unlikely, but let's just say in the rare scenario they do, and he wins an MVP in the process. He considers keeping at it like Brady, but I don't know. We'll see. But ultimately, when you look at this, you're going to assume 1 year, possibly 2, and that's it. Now, if you win a Super Bowl in either one of those 2 years. I don't care what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't care that you're going to have a $60 million cap hit when he retires in 2024 or 2025.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You could spread it out over 2 years if you absolutely had to.
Or you can trade him to the
Super Bowl.
Browns and have the Browns pick it up.
That too. I mean, you know, they like to pay. They like to pay quarterbacks that aren't worth it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like if they win a Super Bowl in one of the next 2 years, it will basically be a win for the Jets. And I don't think anyone would care that they're going to have 1 or 2 really bad years because they have no money to spend in free agency when we just won a Super Bowl. Because who knows? If you take a quarterback in the draft this year or in the middle rounds next year, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
If Rodgers is still playing, it might end up hitting on them. Get Stetson Bennett in here. One of he or Zach Wilson might be halfway decent when Rodgers is gone. So as long as they're halfway decent, they will be cheap, especially if Stetson Bennett's the guy. So one of the quarterbacks in this year's draft, I think you take late. Now, Hendon Hooker looks like he's going to go earlier. He looks like he's probably going to go round 2, if not early round 3, as well as Tanner McKee out of Stanford. But when you look at the quarterbacks in this year's draft, other than the top 4, guys that have won and have been starters for multiple years in college, Stetson Bennett. See if you can grab him in round 4.
I like Stetson.
I'm all in for it if you get him in round 4. Because again, if he doesn't pan out, if he's Christian Hackenberg, you only spend a 4th round pick on him. Most 4th round picks aren't successful in the NFL anyway. So
I got a guy you can get. You can get Jaron Hall and then have 2 BYU quarterbacks.
Not another BYU quarterback. Come on.
I'm kidding.
I'll take.
No, I think
Duggan too. Honestly,
I think
if he goes undrafted, I'll sign him.
I think Stetson Bennett's a good deal. I think Stetson. I said this.
He's perfect.
No matter what, what did I tell people weeks ago? Draft a. Now this was with the reality that this deal wasn't going to be done before the draft, but I said just to save your behind, draft
still should
quarterback. And now that the deal is being done, allegedly going through, then I would say still draft a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers is not going to have him forever. Now, this is the outside of Aaron Rodgers. This is how long I think he's going to stay with the Jets tops.
3 years.
This is how many I think we're going to get no matter what.
You think you're going to get 2?
We got a 2 to 3.
We're getting 2?
Yeah. You got a 2 to 3 year window with this guy. 2 to 3 year window. You develop a guy like Stetson Bennett behind him, and I think Stetson Bennett or any quarterback would be salivating for the opportunity to do this. They'll find a way to let Zach Wilson kind of just sit out whatever's left. They'll try to move him, or if somebody needs a quarterback mid-year, they might try to just do something quick for him, or they'll just let it ride out, release him over time and let it go. I think this team, Aaron Rodgers, Stetson Bennett, would be a good move. I like Stetson Bennett. I don't like that he's fallen on draft boards. This whole hype BS is ridiculous to me because the guy can play. He's won back-to-back championships, which is almost impossible to do, especially when you're not named Alabama in college football. So, in my opinion, he'll be there in the 4th round. Why not take him?
Why not? Right?
And
I mean, if I'm Joe Douglas right now, elevated the chance to get Stetson Bennett in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to sit him behind arguably the most talented quarterback to ever play the position for at least a year, possibly 2 or more.
Yeah.
There's an outside chance you could win a Super Bowl in that time. You could be a part of that culture. Build relationships with the guys on this team. Build a relationship with Garrett Wilson. Build a relationship with Allen Lazard. Build a relationship with Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, who, by the way, still needs to get paid. So they got to figure it out with him too now. I think now that the Rodgers ordeal is behind us, I think now they can turn their attention to getting Quinnen paid.
Oh yeah, we look at him right now. He's under contract until 2024. When I talked,
he's going to hold out.
When I talked about the fact of the reality is set up great for the Jets because they don't have to worry about this young talent come and do within the first couple of years of Aaron Rodgers staying with it, which I believe 2 years, if not 3. If Aaron Rodgers does stay the next 2 years, these are when the contracts are up that I was talking about, and this is why I said it's such a good deal. Michael Carter is up in 2025, no matter which Michael Carter we're talking about. But in 2025, the deal is up. I'm talking about the running back. So he'll be up in 2025, and so will the corner. Mekhi Becton at right tackle, 2025. CJ.
They're not going to pick up his fifth-year option, though, I don't think.
Just looking at it. And then looking at some of these other young pieces that are on the team right now. Breece Hall is not up until 2026. Jermaine Johnson, 2027. Garrett Wilson, 2027. Ahmad Sauce Gardner, 2027. So when I talk with you about this young talent, Aaron Rodgers could be out of the league by 2025, and you're gonna and then you can figure out your money from there.
And honestly though, you look at this team, if they do win, you look at guys like Sauce Gardner, like Garrett Wilson, that you're gonna want to keep around. You might be able to convince them and say, hey, we know we've got a huge issue with the salary cap in 2025. I understand you're ready to get paid. You've been great for us.
Yeah.
Give us one more year. Or sign a backloaded salary cap contract where it's a low cap hit early on and you backload it. And I'm pretty sure you can do that in the NFL with the way you structure it. But if that's something that you'd be able to do, you'll be able to keep Sauce. You'll be able to keep Garrett Wilson. You should be able to keep Breece Hall.
Yeah.
If you can keep those 3 guys and make them forever Jets, some team for a long, long time.
Well, and that's
especially if the quarterback you pick in the late rounds this year, in the middle rounds, hits.
Well,
whether it's Stetson Bennett or whoever.
This is the thing to kind of sum it all up. This is how the Jets don't lose. Okay, money-wise, you got to pay Aaron Rodgers, right? But as time goes by, that cap hit gets bigger. So these first couple seasons, like I said, combined, it's not $50 million of a cap hit. It's not 50 or more until the 3rd season, which would be in 2025. So you look at it now and say, okay, the cap hit's not as bad. That's number one. These are in no specific order. Cap hit's not as bad. You lose the 13th pick, you get the 15th. You lose the 42nd, you get the 43rd. So you stay in the first 2 rounds at virtually the exact same place. You got all this young talent, and none of them are going to be up until 2026, 2025, 2026, and 2027. The biggest ones of this, as of right now, 2027. So you don't have to worry about those contracts. So the money of it, the timing of it, what you're giving up compared to what you're keeping or what you're gaining to all the young talent you had, the Jets were, whether or not people saw this, the Jets were poised to gain a star quarterback and have all the young talent around him that will not obstruct his contract and he will not obstruct theirs. So the reality of it all is it's a perfect fit at the perfect time if Aaron Rodgers can get them to the promised land within the next 2 seasons. If he can't do it within the next 2 years, well, then they're going to have to figure that out. But if they can do it in the next 2 years, you got all that young talent at a lower cost. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got 5 picks this year. You're still in the 1st and 2nd round. And if you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to make that, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're not going to have to worry about the draft for the next couple of years. So the way they've drafted the last 2 years, plus what they get to keep, plus bringing in Aaron at the time that they do, and Stetson Bennett or whoever they bring in getting at least 2 years underneath this guy, everything is set up for the Jets to succeed today, tomorrow, and the next day if Aaron Rodgers does what he's supposed to do. And he minimizes his drama.
Yeah. And even if he has a year like he did this past year, where he wasn't great, better than any quarterback the Jets have had in the last 3 decades,
right?
Outside of maybe Ken O'Brien and Boomer Esiason, maybe, or well, No, not those guys. Chad Pennington. Chad Pennington in the early stages of his career was pretty good. And, I mean, he's the biggest name we've had since then. I mean,
Yeah.
Favre was great until he got hurt. We talked about it this morning. Favre had the issue. He had tore his biceps after just started 8-3, and then that killed him. So mistakes were made at that time. Now, granted, they gave up nothing for Brett Favre. I think they gave up a 4th-round pick for him, which was nothing. You're giving up a lot more for Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers is also at a different point in his career. Brett Favre retired before going to the Jets. He thought he was done. Aaron Rodgers, believe what he said about going into the darkness or not, he might not have been ready to retire. And he's still only 1 year removed from back-to-back MVPs. The dude can still play. And yes, Greg, anybody is better than Zach Wilson. Anybody. Well, you and I, Dan, are better than Zach Wilson. As far as to say that. I hated him from day one. Anybody who knows me knows I was never a Zach Wilson fan. And it was exactly what we talked about this morning. Very little college experience.
Yeah.
Very little college experience. He played one decent year at BYU in a cupcake schedule, in a cupcake conference, where his only important game of the year against Coastal Carolina, he sucked. So for me, there was no reason to think he was going to be good in the NFL. And sure enough, he wasn't. Shocker.
Well, that's the thing, being an independent too, being in the situation that BYU was in, they're now going to be in the Big 12. But before then, the schedule that they had, there wasn't a lot of games, like you said, that were going to show, okay, was he playing up against top-tier talent, even in bowl games? Were they going up against the best of the best? Now, the Packers exchanged Favre for what was a 4th-round conditional pick, which continued to go up depending on how many games he played in. Like you said, he got hurt. But, that was nothing to give up for that. So we've seen this happen before when it comes to the Jets and the Packers wheeling and dealing here. So now in this kind of cool parallel history, you have Favre traded from the Packers to the Jets, and then his backup, Aaron Rodgers, being traded from the Packers to the Jets. So the last 2 quarterbacks historically for the Packers that have given them their best years in recent history are now both going to be saying that they can call themselves a Jet. Now, Brett Favre is a Jet. I don't know if he ever read the playbook. I think he literally got there and said, get open and I'll throw you the ball. But in the case of Aaron Rodgers, we'll see what this looks like because he now has the offseason. He now gets to see the rookies come in. He gets to do the voluntary workouts if he chooses to do so and not go on a trip somewhere else. And from there, we'll get to see him in training camp and in the preseason and whatnot. So I'm excited to see where things are going to go from here and how they're going to shake out as he has this opportunity to spend the majority of the offseason with his new team, learning the playbook and getting everybody together and doing it with players that just got on the team, a lot of them, last year or within the last 2 years. And he gets to give a big hug to Allen Lazard. So I'm excited for what this is going to mean for the Jets. As long as Aaron can be Aaron, I don't know how they swung and missed anything in this respect. So it'll be good to see. I'm excited to see it. And we may have lost Brendan here, and we got Brendan back. So I'm excited to see it,
back.
Brendan.
I'm back.
Any final notes before we go?
Let's go Jets, baby. Let's go Jets.
Wearing number 8, as Brendan is wearing right now. And you can continue to comment here what you think about what jerseys he should get, black, green, or white. I think he should get black and green. And like John Ball said, to just take what you have and to just take the one that you have and turn it into, just change the nameplate on the back. So then you'll have all 3 being Aaron Rodgers
I'm all
jerseys.
in for that.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see it as we move forward here. Aaron Rodgers going to be a Jets, so I don't have to continue to talk about this drama. What will I do with the rest of the week? God only knows. But this has been a special edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and inside of it, a special edition of DT and Murphy. Brendan and I, like I said, I was going to bring you the show we did from this morning. I was going to make sure that we sent it off to you a different way. Now you have this one. DT and Murphy, a bonus broadcast. You've seen us twice in one day. We've made history. Aaron Rodgers making history. The Jets, in my opinion, mathematically and everything else in this, can't lose as long as Aaron does what he needs to do. Excited for them. The Packers, let's see where they go from here, because they now have the Jordan Love era has officially begun. And as always, Murph, I appreciate you, sir.
As always, DT, it was a pleasure to get it back going here. I mean, that was another hour that just flew by. Always does when we're having the talks.
Absolutely. So, God bless. No stress. Do your best. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Green Bay Packers, you could finally do this because you've been doing this and waiting for months now. You can finally breathe out. Jets fans can finally breathe out. Go get your massages, your acupunctures. Do what you need to do. I'm going to go cook. I hope y'all have yourselves a fantastic night. For this bonus edition of Wake Up Call, and inside of it, a bonus edition of DT and Murphy. For Brendan Murphy and myself, Dan Tortora, have yourselves a blessed night. We'll talk soon.